Hello, hi Kevin. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right. Am I visible as well?
Cool. Okay. I'm not able to still see your video, but that's okay, fine. Uh,
Right. So good to
It's
have you
good to
with us
have you with us.
today, and nice having you with us in this session. So I think we can get started, right? So firstly, we'd like to know about how Respirer started. What has it been? What has its journey been so far, and how has Respirer evolved over the last few years since its inception?
Yeah. Respirer started in 2017 with a vision to leverage data at scale for addressing air quality issues, or rather, for due to poor air quality and the lack of monitoring. Right. So, over the course of journey since 2017, Respirer has partnered with eminent institutes in India and abroad, like IIT Kanpur, IIT Bombay, policy think tanks like C-STEP, and associations with GIZ and Microsoft Research. In 2021, the next phase we translated into the NASCOM Emerge 50 Award for for the National Startup Awards, and then was the 2022 when we received our equity funding from HPCL and METI. So this started our first, also initiated our first project called Amrit, which was the deployment of 700 low-cost sensors across the state of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, followed by our city-scale deployments in Surat and Bangalore. So over the course of year by 23, we had about a deployment of 2,000 plus air quality monitors across India, South Africa, and other countries. So, and by 2024, I mean, this year we launched in association with Google the multi-pollutant air quality monitors under the Google AirView Plus program across 100 locations in India. So yeah, from starting from 17 to 24, we have come across a long way with support from some of the wonderful partners that we've had across the journey.
Right. So, how did Respirer navigate the early challenges, especially prior to the funding it received? And how did how did it stay afloat and continued making progress towards where it is now?
So, starting with air quality, I mean, there was always a pivotal moment in 2017, when low-cost sensors actually started to be more affordable and accurate, because there are still challenges in terms of its acceptance and delivery, but the 2017 and 18 was pivotal in the sense that we started using the sensors, and once we navigated this initial challenges with the help of some of the initial funders like India Spend, and the first project that we got from in association with Center of Excellence at IIT Kanpur, that was one of the pivotal moments where we could scale to the level that we are at right now.
All right. So, coming to the technology and the low-cost sensors that Respirer has developed and deployed at multiple locations across India. So, how does its technology stand out in terms of the accuracy and the uh, scalability compared to other service providers in the air quality monitoring space?
So, see, the primary challenge with air quality monitoring, even in India, with having a national program called NCAP, the primary challenge is that the monitors currently being used as a part of the government monitoring setup are not cost efficient, meaning that one monitoring station would cost about 1.5 CR. So the challenge was to have the hyperlocal air quality monitoring, but with a technology that is more scalable and cost effective for a country like India. And this is where we started deploying our first networks of air quality monitoring, which are IoT based, depends on wireless sensor networks, be it 4G, NB-IoT networks, and there's an end-to-end system which continuously monitors this particular network and provides the real-time dashboard view of the data from the network itself. So in a way, Respirer strives to be an end-to-end service provider from deployment to the dashboard to decision making support as well for the end user or the clients.
All right. And like, how are the data insights generated through the analytics that Respirer is doing? How are they being leveraged in the form of decision making, and who exactly are the decision makers that might result in tangible policies and implementation of them across the
Yeah.
city or the state or country?
So I'll give the example of our Surat deployment where we had 20 monitors scattered across the city of Surat. Now, this project was in partnership with Gujarat Pollution Control Board, Surat Municipal Corporation, and GIZ. So now Surat as a city, if many are familiar with it, it has a very mixed layout. For example, it has a very prominent industrial area, good residential neighborhoods, and commercial activities as well across the city. Now, currently, if you see the government monitoring setup in Surat, is that it has only one government monitor established at the city center, and there are a couple of manual monitoring systems, right? So we have only one continuous monitoring system from the government in the city of Surat. What we did was we scientifically evaluated the city's land use and land patterns, divided the city into a grid, and deployed our monitors strategically across the city of Surat so as to cover the maximum possible scenarios. For example, commercial regions, residential neighborhoods, industrial area. So this project actually had this 20 monitors scattered across the different categories. And the resulting data that came out of this network was that it was embedded. One, it was embedded within the Surat Municipal Corporation's website, so that the public at large can use that data, see what the levels of pollutions are within the neighborhood. And when we concluded with the project, we actually submitted a consultancy report saying that, okay, see, these are your polluted areas, spatio-temporally, saying that, okay, this part of the neighborhood is being polluted, is more polluted than this part. So a blanket strategy, if I were to rely on a single government monitor across the city of Surat, that would not be effective. And therefore, this is where the hyperlocal monitoring comes into picture. And this is where the data helps in deciding what policies and what customizations would require for different parts of the city rather than having one single policy at large, right? The other example is also from the public awareness perspective. Since this Surat Municipal Corporation integrated the data from our monitors on their website, people could actually see this data in real time across the city of Surat. The other example is that this monitors were able to capture some of the anthropogenic activities, for example, during the high pollution during Diwali in certain parts of the city. Then there was a fire at the dumping site in Surat, and one of our monitors was actually able to capture that fire, the resulting fires emissions. Right in real time, and therefore these kind of insights and near real time data can help the citizens and the government to have early warning systems established so as to mitigate the effects of these kind of pollutions. So in all, the data actually plays a big role when it comes that we are sensing it meaningfully and making sure that it results in an action taken based on the data.
Right. So, like as you mentioned, for Respirer to implement its solutions across any given city, it would require a lot of partnerships and collaborations, and especially with the government departments, right? You'd need to take approvals and work with them in tandem so that the insights can be leveraged. And at the end, it's the government policies that need to be formulated around that so as to make the most out of the insights being generated. So, and apart from that, right, different states or different countries will have different regulations around the different monitoring, I would say, monitoring standards or locations that need to be pegged, or the subsequent data regulation acts that are there. So, how does Respirer adapt its solutions to comply with different agencies and across states or even across countries?
So one, the monitoring has different aspects. One, as I mentioned, it can be a city scale approach where the government wants to monitor what the pollution levels are across the city and therefore take better decisions. The other approaches can be very localized. For example, one of our projects in Bangalore in the Malleshwaram area, we had about 10 sensors located in the Malleshwaram area to determine what is the quantum of emissions due to the traffic and how smart traffic interventions can be adopted based on real-time pollution data. So there are two different aspects of monitoring and based on the applications and the end users. So we do adapt based on the requirements of the end users and the objectives of the project as well. So every government agency will have its own objectives for deploying a sensor monitoring network. For example, our Amrit project it was specifically focused on the rural rural air quality monitoring in the state of Bihar and UP. City governments like Surat did it for to understand what the city level pollutions are across different parts of the city. Another example is that monitors are also used by some of the mining industry customers in South Africa, where they use it for occupational health and safety guidance, right? So based on the end user and the objectives, these solutions are tailored to fit the object end users goals as well. So once the monitors are deployed, the final part of the data, the analytics, and the entire data pipeline is also handled by the Respirer's team.
All right. And so, like, what kind of a timeline or a time frame do you typically see pre and post Respirer solution implementations, wherein you can see impactful interventions that can be made based on your efforts?
Depending on the kind of projects, we do see, for example, Surat was readily, the corporation was readily accepting the data to be integrated on their website. Then in Bangalore, the interventions for smart traffic management is being planned now as then, for example, the Amrit project, it's a rural air quality monitoring project, which will scale across a span of years. For example, we'll be monitoring for a couple of years, and then come with a bigger policy and a macro level insights on the pollution in the IGP belt. So, depending on the final objectives, the timescales of the interventions and the effectiveness depends. Another example, if I want to very give a quick example, was that our post we did a post Diwali report for the city of Pimpri-Chinchwad, and you could see that the corporation was readily effective in mitigating those with the mist fountains and all. So there are some of the quick interventions which is based on data in near real time, and then there are macro level interventions which are policy based intervention which can take a span of couple of years to pan out.
Okay. So, what exactly is the Respirer's business model and revenue streams that it looks at, right? So, funding would definitely be needed at the initial level when you had started building your solutions and implementing them. But going forward, how have the different revenue streams panned out for you?
Uh, at Respirer, we work as three different verticals. One is where we really pride is our hardware vertical, where we develop our devices, IoT-based sensor air quality monitoring devices, which are designed and manufactured in Pune. Then the second vertical is our data and the analytics vertical, where our entire team works on data post deployment. And then the final vertical is where we provide different types of consultancies, public awareness, and media interactions throughout the course of the year. So usually, when we say fundings, yes, we do look at fundings from city governments, other project partners to kickstart the process. But yeah, once we have those, we have our end-to-end solution pipelines that need to be there.
All right. So, can you please elaborate upon how the different partnerships, for example, the IT Kanpur collaboration with Google has impacted Respirer and propelled it further?
So Uh, both partnerships under COE, Atman at IIT Kanpur was about measuring the air quality in the rural areas in the IGP belt, particularly Bihar and UP, where you see a lot of pollution during this particular high pollution months of November, December, and January, right? And that's a rural aspect of also rural and a more macro level policy aspect. For AirView, the idea is to actually fill the gaps in the existing monitoring networks. Now, India already has about 282 cities with 500 plus monitors covered within the NCAP program, right? So there's no point. I mean, it's a so under the AirView, the idea is to actually fill the gaps which are currently there in the existing networks and to do it in a more scalable and a granular way. I'll give you an example of how this has translated into some of the uh, actionable insights is that, for example, city of Iluru and Srikakulam in Andhra Pradesh, these two cities are under the NCAP program. However, there are no currently real-time monitoring systems available from the government of India, and these two cities is what we covered under our AirView program for Google, and you can see that how this multi-sector action plans, the comprehensive action plans for the city, which are policy level instruments from the state government, is being leveraged to monitor the air quality currently, and how this fits into the larger goal of the reduction of PF2.5 or PM10 within the city. So it's kind of a multi-pronged approach where you have industry, government partnerships, the private partnerships as well, and therefore it helps down to boils down to having this all these collaborators working effectively.
Great. So, your solutions that the use cases that you have described are more at larger organizations and city levels. So, how accessible are Respirer's solutions for smaller organizations in terms of affordability and relevance?
Yeah, so we had the solutions. The idea is to have a more scalable and a cost-effective solutions, right? And therefore, we do have certain product lines which are suitable for community level engagement as well. Uh, our monitors have been used for personal exposures in one of the projects in Mumbai to determine. So, being handy and being able to carry the solution, the device along with you helps them to determine community level exposures, the personal exposures. So we do cater to different kinds of sectors as well. It's not that there's only city scale and state level monitoring is available. So we do have customers which who they want to monitor at a community level and personal levels as well. So
Right. Okay. And like Respirer has been in this space for about 7 years now. So, what kind of a role do you see for the startups coming up in the impact space around air pollution monitoring or the emission control side of things?
So, see, moving ahead, I mean, it has always been about scalability, hyperlocal monitoring. For example, solutions which are IoT-based, sensor-based solutions, cost-effective, scalable, can be better used for public awareness because of the real-time data and informed decision making that comes out of this data-driven insights. The other part of which can be a focus in the coming years is the pollution mapping, identification of hotspots within the city, augment the existing networks in the city where there are current blind spots, and improve this data further in order to have more informed decision making. The other aspect is that the current network of government monitoring uh, may not be used for targeted interventions. For example, quantification of policy effectiveness and multi-sectoral approach for industries, red category, orange category industries. So effective policy making is also where hyperlocal monitoring and scalable air quality monitoring is going to play a pivotal role. The others are decision support systems for urban local bodies, early warning systems, targeted actions for different parts of the city, and general public disclosure for public health is where this these sectors tries to move on.
So, coming to your future plans, so what are Respirer's Respirer's growth and expansion plans from the perspective of existing business and new product portfolio that
Yeah, thanks. We all discussion was revolving around the ambient air quality monitoring, but I would like to point out that Respirer also has an equally strong vertical for the indoor air quality monitoring and for the sustainability aspects. For example, we have projects running in the indoor air quality space for commercial and office spaces where you monitor the indoor air quality and give real-time decision-making power in terms of your HVAC consumptions, productivity of the employees within an indoor environment. As we know, see, indoor is also equally polluted at times. It's just that we don't uh, take that much into account. So we are improving on that front as well with a couple of projects running currently running in terms of indoor air quality management and energy energy smart energy management as well.
all right. And apart from India, which other markets do you see wherein Respirer can make a significant impact and uh, be a part of, be a leading service provider in those markets?
So currently, if you see the acceptance and the advantages of scalability that IoT-based air quality monitoring devices offer, these are currently being used in some of the mining segments in Africa. This is where we see a lot of traction going on. Then there are certain countries in the Southeast Asia where monitoring maybe at a very sparse level across the country, but do need interventions in terms of real-time data and policy makings. So these are some of the countries where, for example, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka are some of the examples of the countries where these kind of hyperlocal monitoring and scalable monitoring solutions will be more helpful.
And in your focus markets, how do you see the adoption and usage of or transition towards clean energy? So, for example, in India, blended fuel is being pushed towards to reduce the emissions by to reduce the vehicle emissions. So, what kind of other initiatives or what's the pace of adoption of such solutions do you see in the clean energy space by the different
So
countries?
on the mitigation front, yeah, see non-motorized transport, then the penetration of EVs have certainly helped reduce the air pollution levels from the vehicular segment. Plus, if you see, there are now a couple of proposals which are on the lines of lower emission zones, very much popular within Europe. And you see, there's a better examples in London where they have low emission zones as a demarcated region within a city. So yeah, these kind of interventions and policy level decision makings are in progress, and therefore it will be a very interesting space in terms of energy consumptions. And once we start moving towards more and more EVs penetration, blending fuels, which has caused a significant reduction, the improvement in terms of the technologies in the automobile space. So all these have significantly contributed. Plus, there are regulations around the industrial sectors as well, which are being looked at the sources of pollution. For example, the construction industry, there are now prominent regulations in place around the construction industry to monitor and mitigate their air pollution levels as well. So yeah, we are seeing these regulations, policies coming into picture in different sectors as well. Not even in terms of public adoption, but on the industrial front as well.
Right. So it was, I think we are almost up our complete with the session and the time. So anything else that you would like to share, Kevin, that we have not covered as part of this session?
Uh, I think most of things are covered, but yes, I would like to focus on the one of the maybe aspect that we have not covered in this talk is that Respirer also maintains a dashboard for air quality, real-time air quality monitoring data called Atlas AQ, which collects data from all the government monitors in India and shows on the daily basis through ranking of pollutants PM 2.5, PM 10, NO2, SO2, ozone, and CO, carbon monoxide. So yeah, it's a public platform that we operate currently, and the data from across India, all the 500 plus monitors across 260 cities can be viewed on this platform and analyzed as well. The larger goal of this platform is more of a public awareness, pollution mapping, and to provide more long-term effective policy and decision-making supports as well.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us here. And
Thank
we
you.
look forward to,
Thanks for having me and good luck. Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much.